Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, earlier we had a chance to talk to two candidates for Jackson County Commissioner. Now, they're not running against each other because they're running for different positions within the Jackson County Commissioner positions. First is Colleen Roberts. She is running for position number 3 at Jackson County, and the other one is Rick Dyer, who's running for position 1. So we sat down to chat about key issues, and so join me now as we talk to candidate Colleen Roberts and candidate Rick Dyer. Well, today we are delighted to have a couple of candidates running for Jackson County Commissioner, position 3. We're delighted to have with us today Colleen Roberts, and for position 1, Rick Dyer. And these are the two candidates who have earned the right to be on the ballot. They were in the primary, and they're here in the general election. And I think that says a lot. And quite frankly, in my opinion, you're the two that have earned the right to be officially on the ballot. So thank you for running in the primary.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your win. And here you are now in the general election. Delighted to have you both. Got a lot of little things to talk about, but Colleen, let me start with you. Ladies first, go ahead and take a few seconds and tell us about yourself and why in the world you get into this thing.
Well, I'm Colleen Roberts. I'm running for position 3 for Jackson County Commissioner, and I'm a native of Southern Oregon, and my husband and I live in Prospect, and that's where we raised our 3 boys. And my grandma's telling Rick I'm a grandmother of 12 under the age of 10.
Really?
So I figured that prepared me for politics.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but I've been a longtime business owner, and I have a master's degree in business, and had the opportunity to cover the commissioner issues and topics for the Upper Oak Independent for about the last 2.5, 3 years, and decided we need to make some changes desperately in the direction I believe our county's going, and decided I better step up and put my hat in the ring, and the citizens of Jackson County were very supportive and behind what I have to say, and I'm just really honored with the endorsement from the Republican Party, and I was the write-in candidate for the Democrat Party, so I won that endorsement as well, which was quite unique, I guess, first time for Jackson County. And so here we are headed to the general election, and it's just a real honor to be at this point, and I'm covered with a lot of prayer, and I wouldn't go without it. And it's been a real pleasure.
All right, Rick, and you, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. And first, I hope you allow me to just my wife's birthday is today, and I wanted to say happy birthday, Kara, and I love you, and thank you for being my rock and my #1 support system.
Congratulations.
Couldn't be here without her. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, my name is Rick Dyer, and I'm running for Jackson County Commissioner, position 1. I decided to run just because I do have a passion for the county. I've lived here almost 40 years. I tend to be here the rest of my life. I own a business here. I have a 10-year-old son that attends public school here. Of course, I met and married my wife, Kara, here. So again, deeply invested in the community. I've volunteered my time. I'm a member of the RVTD Board of Directors. I've done that for a little over 5 years now. I'm also a youth coach. I've volunteered in classrooms, volunteered for various other charitable and civic organizations. So I do have a real concern for the quality of life and prosperity of the citizens of Jackson County, and not just for this generation, but for future generations. And again, one of my big reasons for running is I have a 10-year-old, and I would love for him to have the opportunity, when the time comes, to make the decision to be able to stay here in Southern Oregon, make a good living, raise a family in a safe environment, and those are the things that I'm going to try to make sure happens here in Jackson County if I'm elected. Those are going to be my priorities.
All right, thank you both. I want to get into a couple of the key issues today, and again, this is not a debate because they're really not running against each other. Colleen is clearly the candidate for position 3, and she came through the primary, won that. Now she's on the general ballot. And Rick, clearly the candidate for Jackson County Commissioner, position number 1, again through the primary and here in the general election. So, Colleen, let me start with you, and both of you. And, you know, let's just be conversational here. But the #1 issue, you both mentioned it, jobs.
Absolutely.
We still have an unemployment number here in Jackson County that's nothing to be proud of. and yet we have perhaps the most desirable place to live and work in all of the country. But let me start with you. What would you do to help enhance business growth in Jackson County?
Well, I look at where our business growth is, and it is hard to pinpoint the problem. We're halfway between Los Angeles and Seattle, and we're halfway between Portland and San Francisco on I-5. We have an international airport. Why are we not the hubbub of commerce? I think is the $100,000 question, and I hope to get in there to really pinpoint it. From what I see from the outside, just a private citizen, is a real inhibiting factor by government, and that's kind of been my mantra through all the debates. Is I think government needs to get out of the way. We have fees and permits and restrictions. Yes, some of them are state mandated, but I believe some of them are very much controlled by our county, and I think to me, it's a concern. And as I talk to business owners, see it as their concern is the county micromanaging private business. And it'll be my desire to remove that.
Okay. Rick, you. Let's get some more businesses coming to town. How do we do it?
Absolutely. And I'm going to echo what Colleen said. You know, first and foremost, we need to unbridle our local businesses, allow them to grow and prosper and hire here. Also, though, as far as attracting new business, I think, like you said, we have one of the most desirable places to live and work in the country. And we are attempting to put the carrot out there and tell people, you know, hey, come to Southern Oregon and relocate your business, but I don't think it's a focused enough approach. I think there's some really strong tech sector businesses that are doing well in Jackson County. I think that there's a lot more of those businesses that are located elsewhere that would love to locate here if they knew the story. So I would suggest and get behind a more focused approach where we take our story to some of these businesses that may be in Northern California, Southern California, wherever they might be, that can bring 50 to 100 jobs that pay between 1.5 and 2 times our median income, which in turn has a multiplier effect that creates another 4 or 5 jobs per job of that category. And I think that's the way you really start building on the economy. And in all of the above approach to, we need to get back to work in the woods. Rural communities are really hurting. Rural schools are really hurting because we're not out in the woods, and those need to be brought back as well. And we need to take advantage of our number one attribute here. Colleen mentioned it. We are a major hub. We are a regional center, and I think we can really do more to take advantage and capitalize on that when it comes to tourism. I've always been involved in youth sports, and I'm amazed at some of the places that I go. I was in Reno, where they had 1,000 basketball teams at a tournament there. Mm-hmm. That's about 10 to 12,000 kids with mom and dad and kids. We're talking maybe 30, 40, 50,000 people that are in that town for that week, and that kind of economic impact you can only imagine. So like I say, I'm more of an all of the above approach, and I think it's a problem that's very solvable.
All right, let me ask you a couple further questions as it relates to growing business in Jackson County. And I would agree. I mean, I've run a business here too, bumped into some of those permits and regulations and delays, and it is frustrating, there's no question about it. Could we do something to create an interim growth spurt, enterprise zone? Have you looked into that, Rick?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I'm in favor of enterprise zones. I think that that's, again, a good way to attract business here. And it's when you have a business that takes advantage of an enterprise zone, yeah, we defer taxes for maybe 3 or 5 years. But those businesses, I think once they get here and they start growing and prospering, then they start paying the taxes just like every other business. But then we also have the jobs that they created, the investment that they made in the community, and all that continues. But we need to give ourselves that competitive advantage to get them here in the first place.
How about you, Colleen? What do you think of something like, or anything else you might have that would create?
I wanted to table, on to what Rick said about getting our woods open. I mean, it's just common sense to manage our forests, and it does add to our economy.
How do we do that? I mean, we got Congressman Walden's been involved in that. We've had other county commissioners go back.
Well, what I've seen in play is a year ago, a judge ordered the ONC Act to be fully enforced and the BLM to manage those lands, you know, for safety and to get the logs out for the fires and stuff. And I think we should honor that judge's order. I see Klamath County signing on with the Land Transfer Act and challenging other counties to do the same. And I heard from one of the commissioners who told me they have looked at that Land Transfer Act, and apparently the Oregon Association of Counties is put one together, and they're trying to take the best of both of those. And we just have to get proactive on that. In fact, Rick and I got to go tour the Douglas Fire Complex area, and we saw firsthand how private industry and federal manage their woods, and there is no comparison. Federal is waiting for an environmental impact study or a Endangered Species Act, and private lands, they're flourishing and they're beautiful and not in a danger where all the snags are in federal management. But enough, that is just a no-brainer, and I just would really strive for that for our county.
Would either one of you hook the harvesting of, let's say, best scenario, ONC gets opened up, we take advantage of the judge's thing, we're in there, we're harvesting. One of the incentives has been tossed around that you would connect some of those harvest dollars to education. The state would do that as an incentive to get some of those who oppose it to open up. I mean, what do you think of that idea?
Well, I think if it helps get some of the opposition out of the way, yes, and I believe that education does deserve funding. I mean, it's a very important part of what we do as a government. I'm not saying that education shouldn't be without reform, but to fund it, absolutely. And you know, there's a lot of other reasons too. Our county is in pretty good financial shape, but we're being affected by counties around us that aren't in very good financial shape because they don't have those ONC revenues, and it's just going to get worse. And not to mention, to me, getting back in the woods, absolutely, we want to get people back to work, but there is a real danger out there with the current condition and the absolute state of neglect that our forests are in. And what frightens me the most is that we don't. There's like the underbrush, the dry underbrush, the densities of the forest, and now we're closing down access roads. We're not allowed to build fire breaks. The potential for a catastrophic million-acre fire is a real possibility, and that's something that needs to be priority one to head off if possible.
Colleen, you want to respond? I got to take a break, but go ahead and respond on that, because part of that would be, you think we've learned from our mistakes in forest management in the past, to what if we're back in now, we're going to manage them much better?
I truly feel the only way we will be able to manage them is if the lands are transferred back to the states. The federal government's too hamstrung with environmental, tie downs on them. I think our states can manage them best, and locally we can manage them even better for our county, which is what I would strive for. But yeah, I think we need to get them managed. We've seen what happened to the city of Weed, and any of those could happen to our little outlying communities that are in the middle of the woods.
Okay. All right, we are delighted to have with us today Colleen Roberts. She is the official candidate for position number 3, and Rick Dyer. He is the official candidate for position number 1 for Jackson County Commissioners, her commission seats, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and delighted to have with us today 2 candidates for commissioners' seats in Jackson County, and position number 3, Colleen Roberts, and position number 1, Rick Dyer. And both of these candidates, in my opinion, have clearly earned the right to be on the ballot because they were in the primary, and they won their primary, and now they are in the general election. And so I think that is a major factor in today's. In fact, we have a measure on the ballot coming up that wants to deal with this whole thing called open primaries. When I was chairman of the Republican Party for the state of Oregon for 4 years, I fought this every election cycle, and I opposed it tremendously. And I find it interesting that both parties oppose it. Both parties oppose this measure being on the ballot. And yet both of you are tagged with opponents who did not honor the primary system, and they're trying to sneak their way in at the end. So I want to say thank you for playing by the rules, so to speak. All right, a lot going on. You made the statement, Rick, earlier that the county is in fairly good financial condition. That's done through properly managing the O&C mess, knowing that those. I remember the late Hank Henry was commissioner, and he watched those. He kept saying, "We're going to lose them. We're going to lose them." And he was right, and they went down. So the county has managed itself pretty well. Do you agree? And what would you do differently?
I do agree. I think that, like you say, there's been some proactive involvement as far as seeing what's going to happen, but also just some good policies being made. I'm going to give the commissioners, not just the current ones, but prior to that, and our county administrator, Danny Jordan, some credit there. I think that they've been innovative, they've been proactive, and there's a lot of programs that I've seen that absolutely contributed to that. And when you look, the proof is obviously in the pudding there. We're actually contributing to our reserve funds in these times where most other counties around us, well, Josephine County, the county that I went to junior high and high school in, only has 2 sheriff's deputies. Yeah. My mom still lives over there, and it scares me to death. And that's the thing, I think, that continuing with those fiscally responsible policies is another one of my when I say another one of my number one priorities, another one of my top priorities, and I think it's very important to be, again, this isn't going to be the last economic downturn we have. There'll be others, and we need to be prepared, keep our eye on the ball, contribute to those reserve funds, and be ready.
Colleen, you too. I mean, the county's in pretty good shape, you know. What do you think?
It is. I'm really concerned about the budget for 2 or 3 reasons. One, we did return some money to the rainy day fund, and that was good. But when we look at our budget, we have, it's been alleviated some with the library tax district and the extension tax district. And so I think the county may have a little bit more of a glut of money. I really want to be a good steward for the people. And even if, and I've never mentioned this in a forum, but I looked, even if we can analyze what just making 2 cents off our tax rate would do just to return a portion to the people, I'm concerned about the tax level. When you see the foreclosure rates in our paper, I'm concerned about the tax level on the private citizens. And if we made that $2 and a penny, just $1.98, just kind of take it in a different direction, seeing what the result of that would be, I would love to take a look at. I'm concerned also the direction of our county, and Commissioner Skundrich has confirmed we are more and more dependent on federal and state grants to provide our services. And some of those grants I definitely think are useful, necessary, and helpful, and I believe some carry strings attached. I want to be really closely monitoring that it doesn't rob us of our liberties and our freedom for the money. And it is a major concern of mine about the way I see government going. And even I didn't get to respond on the enterprise zones. Those somewhat concern me in that they're not equitable for all business. They just, certain areas get an enterprise zone tax break. And if we can somehow make it an even tax break for all business and research that end. And because what I read in the paper is the enterprise zone is going to be monitored by SoReady. Why can't the commissioners take charge of that as well? I just think we're going to be paying another government entity. It's just layers, more and more layers. I want a smaller, smarter government. And that's what I run and campaign on totally.
Okay. Both of you quickly mentioned libraries. They always seem to be a little bit of a hot potato throwing out there. And we got through a library crisis before. They did some cutbacks. We're very blessed in this county to have a lot of them. I guess the question would be, do we need that many? The next question would be, and could we lean more towards a voluntary library? Let's face it, this is the digital world. And people get all of their information, at least a majority of it, from these devices. And that's not to take from the importance of the library, don't get me wrong, but is there another way so we're not constantly having this on the ballot? I'll start with you.
Well, from what I've seen with the new library tax district, it is out of control of the commissioner's purview now. Hopefully we will be part of that as far as, because it's a county operations still, but it isn't, the money and their setup will be done through their board. And I was not for the taxing district. I think we should have tried to make do with what we have. I think government needs to try to do that a little bit more in a lot of areas, just like we do in our budgets. And but the people did pass it, so you know they will be working with what they can. Yeah, I think we have a little library in Prospect, and I confess I've never been in it, but and you know, small communities maybe need that. But we have community halls. They have libraries in the schools. I mean, we all have our electronic devices. I think we need to probably look at that. You know, and the board probably will as they try to deal with their budget in operating the full gamut of libraries.
How about you, Rick?
Well, I love the libraries. I use them. And I understand and I appreciate that they're more than just buildings full of books. They are community centers in a lot of our areas. That being said, I think that we are going to see the 60-cent per thousand millage. I think people are going to really see what that means to their tax bill, and we're probably going to there may be a revisiting of that at some point. And I understand that. I do, in my business, I spend a lot of times in folks' homes helping them cut $50 to $100 maybe a year or more than that, hopefully in a lot of cases, but how to get them within a budget because they're living on the margins. And that 60 cents per thousand can mean some real money to homeowners. And I think, again, it was passed, and I'm a big believer in the democratic process, but I believe that's something that may be revisited again, and maybe rightfully so.
All right, we all do want to see the county grow. We want to attract new businesses. We want current businesses to expand and grow and employ people. I mean, that's the bottom line, more people working here. Is the infrastructure, do you think the infrastructure that we currently have allows for that, Rick?
Well, I think it could certainly be improved, and there's efforts to do that. Again, depending on which type of businesses we're trying to attract, it requires different infrastructure. I think one of the things we need to be concentrating on too is being able to train a workforce to be able to staff some of these tech sector businesses, for example. And I do believe our public transportation is certainly an important factor. We need to be able to tell a business that may want to consider moving here that we have a way to get their employees to those proposed business sites. And also, you know, our colleges, like I say, we need to make sure that kids that want to pursue an education are able to get to the college of their choice and to work or wherever they might need to go, to their doctor's appointment, things like that. But yeah, I believe that's an important part of our infrastructure as well.
How about you, Colleen?
Oh, I think our infrastructure is very adequate. You know, the only time I see a complication for business is when government steps in to help. And so many times when they go to revamp a road, we were the recipient of that. They revamped Highway 62, blocked off access. And I think when government goes to make a better infrastructure, they don't consider the businesses. And I wish they'd just stay out of the way because they do block it. You see it lots of times on those 4-lane highways and or where they take a bypass, and it just circumvents a going business, and they feel the consequences of it. But I just think government getting out of the way is the best thing. I don't feel like it's they're not in charge of getting kids to school. It's good for people to take the own incentive themselves and get there.
Several ARP, other agencies, has said that Southern Oregon is like number 5 in the country. I've seen the number go up and down a little bit as a place to retire, primarily because of our climate. And one of the big issues is our medical community got probably second to none, you know. And all of those two industries alone spark a lot of jobs, and it filters out into retail and everything else. So if we are becoming a good place to retire, could we enhance that? It's been suggested, all right, let's freeze the county tax rate on homes of elderlies, their permanent resident at the age of 65. Would you be open to that, Rick? Well,
that's a pretty open-ended. I think that we need to be equitable in how we tax across the board. If there's elderly folks that are living on the margins and not able to make ends meet. Maybe we make some concessions as far as deferring their taxes, but making it a blanket.
Well, they were saying a freeze. The recommendation was on elderly, say 65 and up. That's young these days.
Yeah, it's coming right up, I know.
But anyway, but you just freeze the rate. You just don't let it go up. You just freeze it, especially if those are on fixed income. They could count on that.
Well, again, I think we need to be equitable across the board, and if that spurs more investment in the Valley, then it would certainly be worth taking a look at. But I can't just say right off the cuff.
And I get that, because a lot of people are saying because of that, that's why the reverse mortgages are so popular. You know?
Right.
But at the end, does the family really win in a reverse mortgage? You know. So anyway, your thoughts on that quickly?
I have never heard of freezing that option. I'm for running government where they don't have to worry about freezing it. It stays low. You know, and by county government running due diligence and living within their means, it will free up people to live, whether on fixed incomes or unemployed, more economically. And I will strive to be that citizen representative to provide that avenue.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here. As you can tell, it goes pretty fast in television. Colleen, go ahead and give us about a 30-second wrap on voting for you.
Okay, well, I believe in representing the people and not government. I think we've had a lot of government representation and the people are not feeling represented, and that's the main probably reason I am running. I believe in small, smarter government that's less intrusive in our personal lives and in our businesses, and a government that champions economic growth and doesn't stifle job growth through numerous fees and permits, and that I'm a longtime business owner and have a master's degree in business and am ready to use it to a greater good.
All right, Rick, give us your closing comments.
I believe that I am uniquely qualified for this position. I think my background, my education, my involvement in the community makes me the best candidate for my position, for sure. I take a background in business as well as education in accounting, business administration. I have a law degree. I think I have a lot of attributes that will help us or help me lead us into a more prosperous and just a better future for Jackson County, and that is my intention, and that's what I hope I'm able to do for us.
I thank you both again. Colleen Roberts running for position number 3, and Rick Dyer position number 1. And they're already in that friendly little book that just came out. Everybody got the book, and you'll see them in there, and you can contact them there. Thank you both for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, a couple of candidates there running for Jackson County Commissioner. Coming up next, you know, October is Pastors Appreciation Month. Well, we appreciate all pastors and what they do, but we're going to give them an opportunity to share what God's talking to them about. And we're going to have a very special guest coming up next here on Focus Today.